Welcome from to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Cryptosis, this this new album Celestial Death, and more things related to the metal world in general. So we started by asking how is the band during the last couple years, or 3 years, 4 years, because your previous album Bionic Swarm was released in 2021, then you released an EP, The Silent Cult, and more things related. How is the band during the last couple years, and how are you?
Thanks. I'm good. Really busy right now with the promotion of the new album. We have been working pretty hard to write this album, and also we have been touring quite a lot with our previous album Bionic Swarm. It came out during the pandemic, so we had to wait a bit until we could get back on the road. So I think it came out in March 2021, and we went on tour in October 2022. So there was like quite a lot of time to catch up, and yeah, we have been doing quite a lot of cool shows, cool tours with our friends in Effectar. We did a tour with Cynic and Obscura. um, this was also the reason why we released the EP, the Silent Call, to already, like, we had a new song from a new album. We wanted to check how it would work live, and how we could pull it off technically, how everything with the sound and other stuff would turn out. And yeah, so far was really good, and now we are like almost ready to release the album. It will be out on March 7th through Century Media Records, and yeah, from there on we're going to go back on the road and do the same.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm talking about the composition from this new album. When you start writing songs for this new album, it was when you finalized the EP or the previous album, or perhaps you or perhaps did you rescue any composition? Do you rescue any composition for the previous album, or all these songs are new?
No, all these songs are new. We started writing the album Celestial Death. I think like 1 year after Bionic Swarm came out, we started writing. Like, we had some songwriting sessions. We start slowly picking up ideas, and we collect things, and we produce them here at home with a drum machine and everything. And so I think we did this for like 2 years or so, and then we started like making all of these ideas. We like we threw away the bad ideas, and we focused on the good things, and then we just started writing more to make songs of this. And yeah, I think we had one song, Ascending. It was the first song we started working on, and also the last song to finish. Like, it took us quite a while to get it right. But at the same time, we also started working on the song and the Silent Call. So we had like a clear vision where the album would go in terms of like sound. So at some point, like when we had the opportunity to go on tour with Obscura and Cynic, we just picked this song because it was the song that was finished. But we already had, like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 songs that we already also were working on, and they were also in quite a advanced stage of a final result. But this song was, like 100% finished by then, so that's why we took it.
Okay, okay. So and when this topic, so I saw that the previous album. I remember when we released you released the first album Bionic Swarm. The album has received great reviews, great commentaries, publications, posts, etc., etc. So now we are waiting for this Celestial Death. Did you feel, or do you feel some kind of pressure to the fans now will meet disappointment with this new album, because your first album, it was a great one, received a great reviews and more things. Do you feel some kind of pressure at the time you release this new album?
Yeah, Bionic Swarm was basically our debut album with this band, and like, you can do whatever you release it, and people will like it, and they become a fan. And so there are some expectations, I would say, of people, but like, we also have this band because we just want to make the music that we love, the music that we want to play and experiment with sounds that we like. And you know we don't really bother too much with expectations and stuff like this. We just want to make music that are up to our standards, as metal fans. And we just want to make this kind of to make this kind of music and the album that we like and that we love and that we would like to hear, if another band would have been doing this. And so, if people like it, then that's good. If they don't like it, for us, we do it for us, not to please fans.
Mhm. Okay, okay. Now, you are working for the second time with Century Media for this new album. So how it works now? You are because with this new album you are more yes, you are more you are more than 5 years working with Century Media for this new album. So how is the work since the beginning to now to work with them?
Yeah, for us, it's like when we first signed Central Media, we didn't know, we didn't know shit about anything in music business. We just were like small band, local band, that somehow got through
Mhm.
and got a record deal. And over the years, we got a lot more experience, and we know, I think, better like how things are, working behind the scenes. And so we could anticipate on this, when we started promoting Celestial Death, for instance, like how we do all this social media stuff, like pre-orders, this kind of things. Like the first time, it was a bit like we were just put in a in their framework, so to say. And now we were like, this time we could more like say like, okay, this is what we want, this is what we want to do, this is what we don't want to do. uh, can you help us make this happen? And so in this sense, also the band was a bit more mature this time, than in the previous album, I would say.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay. Now, since Bionic Swarm has it was created, the cover art it was created by Eliran Cantor, and now again you decide to work with Eliran Cantor again for the second time, and obviously and also I saw that you mostly like the mastering, mixing, and recording works like the same people like the first album. So, do you think that these people involved in the masters, in the mastering, the recording, and obviously the cover art are part of the are part of the sound or the music from Cryptosis from you since your point of view?
I would say like we make the music. We have the complete creative direction, the musical freedom to do what we want, and then we have the like other raw tracks, and we want this, to be like we want this to take it to the next level. And for example, Frederick, he's also playing guitars in Unleashed, and Hellbutcher, like he knows really well how to get like the stuff that we sent him, how to maybe like take more, even take it, more further, like take more out of the sound. So we specifically chose these people because we know like they can take the stuff that we do to the next level. So that's why we work with them. And Olaf, the guy who engineered the whole album, is a friend of us. So it's like really relaxed working with him. And yeah, this way, like what how the other party is working, and you can anticipate on this and take the best of out of everyone to get good results.
Okay, okay. Okay. So, and what do you decide to use again? Oh, what do you decide to create this new cover art with Lyrian content and not find another alternative with another artist? What has Lyrian Cantor that other artists or painters doesn't have?
We know him. We know him personally. He makes amazing artworks for amazing bands. Everything that he does looks really good, and it's just the first person that comes to my mind when I think about artwork for metal bands. And like in this album, we just gave him the demos of the songs. We said like, well, this is basically the concept that the album is talking about. Can you turn this into something stunning visually? And then this is just what he came back with, and it's just Eliron is just an artist. You can just give it some ideas, or like we went on a video chat for like 30 minutes, 1 hour, I think, talk a bit about music, pick our brains a little bit about some ideas, and then he just does his magic. And basically everything that he touches looks so good. So for me, it's a no-brainer to work with him.
Okay, okay. Other detail that I denoted with this new album is that when I remember very well Bionic Swarm because I like it so much that album. It's a great album. I have in my collection about this. And at that time, you play something like progressive thrash metal or progressive in general. But now with this Celestial Death, when I hear more 2 3 times before to do this interview, I denote one thing that you included more black elements into this new album, a lot of black metal elements. So in this situation, this decision to change like the sound of the Cryptosis, it was a conscious decision, or it was a part of evolution to lean down more to the black metal stuff into this new one.
I think it's more the like the situation in the band. Like I write most of the stuff, and Lawrence as well. Like the
Mhm.
two of us rewrite all the music, and he was like had some stuff in his private life that took his attention, and like so the more focus on the songwriting was on me. But I cannot play like this really technical stuff on the guitars, so automatically I started writing more stuff that feels natural to me, like more atmosphere, more groove, and this kind of things, like they interest me more than playing, like being the best guitar player, like I want to listen to music that takes me, to imaginary places, and this is what I try to incorporate more in the new album, I would say.
Mm. Okay, so in this case, well, mostly as I know, a lot of people since the beginning think that you are a progressive thrash metal or technical thrash metal. At that moment, now with this new concept that you play more black metal stuff in your music for your influence, so how will be the best way to label the band now? Could we will still consider that Cryptosis is a progressive thrash metal, or now is like melodic death metal or melodic black metal. Sorry, melodic or black metal.
It's really hard, and I don't think there's really a label that you can put on the band. Like I wouldn't say we are progressive trash. I would think of bands like Coroner, Voivod. Like when you talk about this Vector, perhaps. We have some touches of this because we love these kind of bands, but we also, love black metal. We love death metal. We love, like electronic music. I listen to a lot of Massive Attack, Dead Can Dance, and so we incorporate everything that we love into the songwriting. Our drummer Marco, he's really into like old school stuff like Motorhead, AC/DC, Status Quo, like really straightforward beats. But he also loves Porcupine Tree, for instance. So with this and the technical guitar stuff, like Lawrence, it really is into like Opeth, Symphony X, like this progressive guitar bands. And if you put everything together, like yeah, you get something that has like the Cryptosis identity. And I don't think you can take out one of these parts and this, like it's gonna become something totally different. And like we have seen now with the album, I did a little bit more songwriting, and then it immediately sounded already a bit different than, let's say, the previous album that we like more or less worked on 50-50.
Mm. Okay, okay. Other detail that I remember, when we spoke at 2021 for Bionic Swarm, I remember very well that I asked you, how will you will see this scene of the metal in 5 or 10 years, and because at that moment, well, since that moment or since 2020 exactly, I saw the span attention to hear an albums is right now. It's not like the 80s or 90s when a lot of people hear albums. Now, just the people prefer to hear just singles. But a counterproductive thing that we can see is that all just the metallists are continue releasing albums against everything. So
Yeah.
if you like metal, you need to hear the album. We don't like singles, like something like that. So now, what's your opinion about now, and what do you still decide to release and a second album when the most span attention is just one of singles?
Yeah, well, I also have given this a thought lately, and I don't know how it is in Mexico, but here in Europe, in the metal scene, there are quite a lot of old people, and there's not really a lot of young young folks listening to metal these days. At least here in the Netherlands, it's where we are from. It's like non-existent. You know, like they never play on the radio, whatever. It's just something that's like super underground. So, you know, like when I look around, like our band, we are already like young compared to the people that come to the shows. You know, so I think in this regard, it's good. You know, like these people that come to our shows, they listen to albums in full. They are used to, you know, listening to records like from front to back. But yeah, indeed, like you said, like people start to listen to more and more like only songs, or like even shorter like TikTok clips, you know, 30 seconds. So you know, this could change the way bands are gonna do songwriting. For us, we always write an album that basically every song could be a single, depending on how you want to, you know, like present the album. Like, would you have the album more like technical, then you have a few songs that you can put? Do you want the album more atmospheric? You have a few songs that you can use as singles. So that this is always how we write the album anyway. So yeah, I don't know. It's you know, times are changing, and you know, you can adapt to this, but you can also follow your own path and, you know, do something that feels good to you.
Okay, okay, that is true, that is true. And mm, other thing related now, returning to this new album, as what kind of promotion do you have for this new album? What kind of tours are you scheduled, or perhaps you will embark first times in Asia, Latin America? So, what kind of plans do you have in general for Cryptosis and for this new Celestial Death album?
On May and June, we're going to go on a European tour with Onslaught from United Kingdom. And July, we're going to tour Latin America. We have Argentina, I think, Chile, Colombia, a few more countries. And in October, we're also going to play Mexico in the, how's it pronounced? Kishik Metal Fest.
Okay, I see.
It's 18th of October.
Mm-hmm.
Monterey.
Amazing. Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah.
now, so we're talking about a little more for this Cacique Festival that will be played in Monterrey in November, October. I can't remember very well. So
October 18. Yeah.
October. So, and for this one, so what kind of expectation do you have at the time when you visit part of the Latin America? Because usually when I spoke with a lot of musicians, or also you heard a lot of musicians from Europe that said the Latin American fans are very passionate at the time in a concert, and you read a lot of this and you hear a lot of this. So, what kind of expectation do you have when you will play here in Mexico and other countries like Colombia, you said, and other countries here? Do you think that is do you have this kind of expectation that you will be overwhelming about the passionate Latin American fans?
You know, here at home, I have a Greek girlfriend, and you know, like we already have so much differences in, you know, like how we are. You know, like Dutch people are considered, you know, cold, and so I don't know what to expect. I hope everything's gonna, you know, turn out really cool. But you know, I have seen and heard so many crazy stories about Latin America. So you know, like you can only hope. You know, this stuff is gonna happen when you're gonna be there. You know, take the trip, and let's hope for some good reception.
Hmm. Okay, nice, nice. Now talking about other kind of topics, and also we are close to this interview, Frank. So, so one thing that captured my attention during the last, well, let's put it during the last 5 years, especially since 2020, or a little more. So as you can see, a lot of bands are sounding great now in their records. Great musicians, as you said, when you play a technical stuff, you need to dedicate it a lot. So there's now we have a lot of great musicians in all social medias and all bands now. So they play fast, they play technical, they play so good. It's not compared to the 80s or 90s. These kind of musicians are very dedicated to the instrument. Some people say like they're very enthusiastic musicians for this one, but with this kind of topic, as you can see, there's no bad records now. There's no bad records. There's no bad sounds. All all musicians and all records sounds perfectly, especially in the studio. That's more that we can hear because no, that's the first thing we can hear in the studio with the albums, with EPs, with singles. But one thing that for me is lost is the sensation of the organic way to hear music. Because I'm coming from the 80s, I remember very well there is when there is five albums. This is from these five albums in the 80s or 90s. Three are great. Two are not great for the sound, for the musician, etc., etc. But now you have 50 albums per weekend, and the 50 albums sounds amazing, sounds great, no errors, no nothing there. So, what's your opinion about now from this standardization in the sound, especially into the music industry now?
Yeah, everyone can produce an album that sounds good, like you said. But for me personally, of this 50 albums that sounds good, maybe one sounds interesting, and the others sound pretty boring. The albums usually that you mentioned, like in the 80s, like five of them, but three were good, but the other two, they lack production or whatever. They lack production, but they have something else. Like they have maybe the right vibe, or they have the right intentions. And these days everyone can make an album in their bedroom, and that's also why it's really hard as a band to stand out, because there is so many albums. Why should people listen to your album? Because there's also another 49 to choose. So this like this makes it harder, but yeah, indeed, it's a lot cheaper to produce good sounding albums compared to the 80s, I would say. But you just have to work, and if the music is good, it will find people, yeah, in the end.
Hmm. Okay. Another thing that is now talking about, a lot of people are complaining about the artificial intelligence, about what they can see, what they can see or what they can hear, because this is the only thing that the people have the option to see. But in the other way, as you can see, the artificial intelligence is now involved with the music. With the musician, when you play live, it's not like the 10 years ago. When in 10 years ago you have amps, you have effects, you have a lot of people working in your live presentation. So you are three, but with you are five or seven people working to have a good sound in your live presentation. But now with all the machine and with artificial intelligence, you have just one plugin. Just you're not working with, and mostly all the producers in live presentations are not working with amps. Just plugin, just one person to avoid to hiring more people and obviously to reduce the amount to pay for more people in this. So what's your point of view about now this one? Because right with this technology, this is the artificial intelligence in other way, not like the way we see with the art or with the music. It's like is when you play live, you just need one person to handle all the sound for the band. No amps, just the console directly, and this person work with their laptop, and there is one. So now, what's your opinion about now this concept now to play live consultation with the amps, with the effects, and without no more people, just one person working in all the stuff.
Yeah, we are really old school, when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like we love to use the big amps. We love to, work with guys who are really good in their craft, for sound and light. Uh, I see why people do it, to cut costs, but you should ask yourself, is it really necessary? Like sometimes it's also okay to not make so much money, or don't make money at all, but you'll present yourself in a very good way, And this artificial intelligence stuff, like you mentioned on album covers or wherever, I think it's just lazy, Like why not work with someone who actually makes some really good work instead of just making variations and copies of things that are already existing. Like why would you be interested in this?
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. So, other details about now, about the in general for the metal industry, because there is the metal industry is not like the 80s or 90s now. It's more different, completely different. And now, as you can see, there is a tal we spoke a few minutes ago about this. We have more than 50, 70 releases per week. It's impossible to follow, even as we are working as a media. So for us, it's impossible to follow more than 60 releases per weekend. It's impossible. I don't know if there is a people or media that handle 60 releases per weekend. It's impossible for a humans for this one. So what's your opinion about now about this over overwhelming releases per weekend? 50, 60 per weekend. So we have more than 1,000 per week, more than 100 per month. So that's amazing. That's for one thing is for the good side is we have a more bands, we have more releases. The metal industry is right now have a healthy weight to release more records. But the other way, we have too many releases. So what's your point of view about these overwhelming releases per weekend?
Yeah, every fan also plays in a band, and it's easy to make your album. It's easy, with AI to get artworks. So
Mhm.
people start releasing more and more stuff, and it's just making more, like it's bringing more noise. But I don't, like I follow a lot of new stuff, and I try to discover new artists and music like all the time. But it's getting also in this department harder and harder to find like true gems because there's just too much mediocre stuff for me personally on the market. And yeah, if you flood it with 60 albums per week, of course, at some point, no one's gonna notice anymore because people are gonna be fucking bored to check it out all the time. And if most of the stuff sucks, then like I think personally, it's the depth of the genre, and at some point, in time.
Okay. Okay. Well, Frank, we arrived to the sad moment of this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
This
you.
new Celestial Death. For me, it's not more. It's more more black metal than the progressive thrash metal that like it was in the beginning. But it's a great record. Congratulations on this one. It's a
Thank you.
great example how the band turns with a new influence in your music. And perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans that expect obviously your first appearance or your first presentation here in Colombia and Mexico and other countries here, and obviously Metalerium followers.
If you like black metal, thrash metal, symphonic metal, or anything extreme, check it out. RL Music Cryptosis is on Spotify, iTunes, whatever platform you love. You can follow us on social media to keep track of when we are coming to play close to your home, and we'd love to see you and meet you on the road.